Hello again, folks. Mel the Terrain Tutor back in the studio, back in my happy place and back working on terrain. Now, for you, this is the second video. For me, the first one hasn't even come out yet. The towers that you will have seen, fingers crossed, they're actually drying over there, and I'm in the studio and I can't really watch paint dry. So I decided to crack on, and although I'm modelling and that sort of stuff, I decided, you know what? Let's do it on film. So, in for a penny, in for a pound, we're cracking on. And the subject of today's video is jazzing up MDF kits with MDF. Now what I've got here is I have the Sarissa Precision, Wild West Church. Now I've lost the cross over it. I'm going to have to refix that. It was a little bit fragile and it hasn't been handled well, to be truthful, but coming back and forwards to the studio, but easy fix. Now it is a little bit plain Jane for me. I like hyping my stuff up a bit, playing with it. So MDF kits are great, but I see them as a base, something to start from and enhance. Although the new stuff Sarissa are putting out is, I'm not sure I'm going to how that's enhanceable, like full colour and all that sort of stuff. We live in golden times of age. Full colour MDF prints, 3D printing. We're going to have full colour 3D printing. When they figure out how to 3D print flock, I'm done. I'm bust. But in the meantime, for the people who don't enjoy 3D printing as a hobby and prefer terrain making as a hobby, we've still got balsa and terrain, so let's crack on. Right. We've got the church here. Now, obviously the roof is on there. Sarissa normally do these sort of cardboard upgrades, but I don't know if there probably is one for the church. I just don't have it. So I'm going to do my own thing. And it's already sort of got lines on, so I'm going to follow those and I'm going to roof it up and I'm just going to put slats on it. I'm not going to do individual tiles. I'm getting too old for that sort of, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. My days of making individual card tiles and laying roofs, they're over. Oh. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put slats on. But what I want to do is I want to jazz up the sides a little bit first. There's a lot of detail that can be pronounced. It can be enhanced. The best way to do that is with this stuff. Balsa wood. Now, you may have seen these long sheets in model shops. Normally when we use balsa wood, it's in little strips like this. And you may have seen all these sort of thick strips and wondered, right, what do you do with those? Well, these are actually for balsa, for use with a balsa splitter. So let me show you what a balsa splitter is. This is a balsa splitter. Now, a balsa splitter is basically, a blade on a slightly adjustable, sort of lever. So you can turn that, and I don't want to adjust it because it's set to a certain size, and that will move that blade out. And then all you've got to do, because the blade is there, is you get your big sheet, no matter how thick it is, you adjust it to whatever you want the cut width to be between this block and the blade. And you just simply come down and you carefully, there's a blade, I'm getting better in my old age, you move it all the way up and you split the balsa. And then you have perfect strips. So that is the balsa splitter. It's what these for. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to knock out all those strips. Once I've got them done, what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to glue them onto this actual piece. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to create, design in depth. So we're going to sort of create things for shadows. So beams mainly. We'll put a runner across there probably. We're going to do a few things. First, I'll strip the balsa, then I'll come back once we're done. Right, I've done my stripping. I've got some nice thin strips, but I've also gone through a slightly thicker bit as well. I want different thicknesses of balsa because that will give me varying depth. And that way, when I dry brush, I'll get different edges to actually catch the dry brush across. When you're dry brushing something that's quite plain, you get more smears than highlighting. So this technique, I'm going in dead simple. I'm just going to basically build stuff that I can dry brush over and get some texture, some edge highlight in it. Now, with regards to this, cut myself a rather thicker bit than these bits, and this is to go around the bottom. Yeah, and when it comes to actually sticking these sort of things on, it's quite easy. All you got to do is, I sort of wing it, but that's me. Yeah, all you got to do is come along, line it up to where you want to, where the piece is going to go. Yeah, I don't bother with rulers. Just come along, put a little nick in. Yeah, make sure that when you're working with balsa, you are always working with a sharp knife, and then just dead simply slice it. Yeah, never compress balsa, always slice it. And then that piece will go there nice and easy. Now there's a little bit of overhang there. Yeah, so I can just use a little bit of sandpaper, sand that down. But the next job is to go across and do this side. Yeah, once I've done this side, I'll cut a piece that goes along here, but also incorporates those two bits sticking out. Yeah, and then it'll be time to glue them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go along and I'm just going to very quickly cut all my bits, and then we'll come back and yeah, we can glue them on and go from there. Right, I'm in the process of putting the bits on, and I've got my last bit, and I want to show you the process. Now, a couple of things I want to point out before I go. You'll notice that I've got a bit of a texture on my balsa wood. For that, I've used a simple hobby rasp, and all I've done is I've just pressed it in and just gone across it a couple of times, and that's given me my grooves, which will catch the paint and become more realistic. Now, the other thing is, and you're going to have to look quite carefully for that, I've put pins through the pieces. Yeah, so there you go. Now, the purpose of that is these long pieces, when you glue them down, they can bow and they can come away from the side. So the pins just easily go through the balsa wood, hold it in place, yeah, while it dries. And then once it's dried, I'm just going to pull them out. The only thing you need to remember is just brace against the balsa wood as you pull them out, because you don't want to pull the balsa wood with them. Now, sticking it on is dead simple. Yeah, I've done these two pieces either side. We've just got this bit to go on. Typical mill. Yeah. Run the rasp over it. I've already done this a couple of times, so I'm just showing you. Yeah. And which side is? Yeah, that's the smooth side. Now, I've got my PVA glue in my unique PVA glue holder to ensure it is always loaded with glue in the tube when I dispense. Yeah, you can buy these from my online store. And all I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on. And it's important when you're working with balsa that your PVA is thick. You don't want runny PVA with balsa. You want nice, good, thick stuff. Yeah, and all I'm going to do is just come along. I'm going to use the table to make sure my point is level. Come on, in you go, in you go, in you go. Yeah, I'm going to push it on. Give it a little wiggle. That's to spread that glue about. Yeah, and then just get my pins. Pin that side. And I'm going to 45 degrees because that's a good way of pinning both sides. Yeah, and then I come along and I get a pin here. Now I've got to push this through without sticking it in my finger. Well done, boss. That hasn't gone through well enough there. So let's put that through again. Oh, it's all coming apart. Right. Try again. With that. Yeah, I should do it. Right, nice and level. And that's it. Now, the other good thing about pinning the joints is, oh, very quickly, I've got some blobs of PVA on there. All I'm going to do, yeah, is just get a wet brush. Just run it along. That'll help seal it. Yeah. The next job, obviously, is I've got to do the fascias up here, up here, up here, up here, around here. And for that, I'm going to be using my thin wood. I'm going to be doing it in exactly the same way as I've done this. I'm just going to be lining it up, and we're going to be covering off these sort of MDF join marks and that sort of stuff. Yeah, fingers crossed, it should start to come alive. See you after the flash. I'm in the process of putting on the fascias, and I just want to show you something. Right, whereas before, I was watching when I was putting them on, I was pinning them in, yeah? In this case, I'm putting on the horizontal fascias to add a little bit more detail. As you can see, it's really coming together. Yeah. I need to get my angles right. I'm too far over here. Come here. There you go. That's better. There you go. I'll get there. Don't worry. I've been in this saddle long enough to know how to ride. Just got to remember. Right. As I was saying, yeah, I've been using pins around here to fix these in. But in this case, I've got MDF. Now, I can put a pin through balsa, but I can't push a pin through MDF. Yeah, you just can't. Well, there is that terrain builder that looks like the bloke off of Starties. Yeah, I don't know what his name is. I haven't been following, I haven't been connecting, to be perfectly honest. But he's huge. He looks like he can push them through MDF with his eyelids. Does nice terrain as well. I don't know his name and I can't find him, so someone, you know who I'm talking about, yeah? Throw it in the comments. I'd like to check out his stuff, to be perfectly honest. Now I'm back. Before, I found it difficult to actually watch other terrain builders because I wasn't building terrain for you guys. So I've sort of disconnected from the community, and there's been loads, I've seen little glimpses of loads of new people come along. So I want to check out their stuff. Yeah, so let me know in the comments. Anyway, back to what I was showing you. The Mel style. Right, so what I'm using here is I'm using C-clamps. And if you've never come across C-clamps before, they're wicked. Yeah, they're basically a clamp which can, you'll have probably seen them in woodworking, but these are modelling C-clamps. And they allow you to come straight down. And because of the length, you can clamp all the way down to the bottom of a model for when you're doing MDF. So these are absolutely perfect, yeah, for making models, especially MDF kits. So modeling C-clamps, and just quickly show you, yeah, all it is a matter of just pushing them together and then just give them a squeeze. Yeah, make sure it's nicely lined up. And if you see, yeah, it's the tension on that bar that keeps them pressing together from the squeezing. Yeah, and that'll keep that nice and tight. I'll get a nice good join there, a little bit of sanding, and that'll look like proper timbers. It's coming together, isn't it? Right, I've got more to crack on with. I'll bring it back once the fascia is fully done. See you in a moment, guys. Right, the fascias on the church are done, the balsa fascias, and as you can see, it's looking a lot less flat now. Now, one little thing I had to do was after I pulled the pins out, I just got a blade, I just went along and I just sort of beveled them so they're in line with the roof so that the roof could sit down properly. Yeah. So throw the roof on, nice and easy, sits nice and flat, and as you can see, sits nice and flush. Yeah. Now we've got the fascias across here, as you can see. Side ones, we'll do that one and a cross beam there. Yeah. Now, next thing is we need to add a little bit more detail. And for that, I'm not going to go for balsa, I'm going to go for actual wood. As in, stems from a bush. Yeah, I can't remember what bush this is, but basically, found a bush. It was winter, it was dried out. Harvested it, saved it, got loads of realistic looking logs. And I've got tons of these. I'll literally keep piles of them for wood piles. They're really good. But what I'm going to do is, you can use, what do you call it? You can use kebab skewers for this, but I want to use these because they just look a little bit more natural. Exactly the same as kebab skewers, but they just look more natural. So they're going to paint up better. So all I've done is, with a sharp blade, rolled it over to cut it. So when you cut it, don't squish it, roll it. Yeah, so like that. Just give it a little roll and it cuts nice and clean. If you press right down, yeah, it can crush the fibres. Same with balsa wood, so that's why you have to cut through balsa. And all I've done is I've cut a piece out there. Not that piece. That one's not going to fit. But I'm going to cut a piece to go like that. I've got to get these angles right. I think most of you painting as I'm doing this anyway. Then on the front, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these. I'm going to put them there, either side of those upright columns, just to make it more natural and give myself a little step. Yeah, so that's the plan with these. All it's going to take is a little bit of stick, a little bit of PVA, and then all the adding to is done. Yeah, the next thing will be a little bit of weathering and just to tackle the roof. Yeah, so let's get these sticks in and I'll bring it back once I've done. Right, that's done. It's come out beautiful. Here. Right, there's the log work done. Now, as you can see, yeah, I've not just done the posts, I've also added onto there, yeah, and created myself a little ridge line there. Adding round things and curved things to MDF kits is a great way to sort of take it away from being the kit. With that, you've seen MDF kits being square and angular. But the moment you actually introduce round elements into a kit, it completely throws the mind off and people think it's scratch built. People think this is scratch built by the time it's finished. I'm not telling them. With the amount of work, half of it will be scratch built. Right, anyway, what we're doing now. Right, as you can see, I've done those. Yeah, I've also stuck a base to it. I just couldn't not. I think I just like terrain with bases on. I think I'm just going to have to accept this fact now. It's been 10 years. I can't do them without bases. I just can't. Anyway, put a base on, so we'll paint that up. But we did the towers, so I've got a quick and easy paint scheme. And the flock and foliaging is really easy to do on that one as well. So we're good on that account. What we've got left to detail is the roofs. Now, Sarissa normally do what's called cardboard conversion kits. I haven't got one for one of these. Yeah, I've got some for some of the other buildings, and I can show you those in a different video. But I haven't got one for this one. So I'm going to do my own roof. Okay, and for my own roof, I'm going to use incredibly thin balsa. Yeah, like a mill. Yeah, that's all I need. It won't raise up too much, and I'll be able to do the planking. And the idea is I'm going to layer planking on. I'm not going to do shingles. Yeah, that's a little bit too much work. Yeah, for this project, I think. Planking will do. And the roof itself, if you look, it's got the guidelines for planking already on them. Yeah, so it's a bit of a no-brainer. I mean, that one's a little bit fat, but I can live with that. So it's an easy one to do. Now, layering on lots of shingles or planks onto roofs is a nightmare. Yeah, absolute nightmare. But there's a trick. May I present to you Hobby Tack? Yeah, this is from Woodland Scenics, and this is the stuff that Woodland Scenics provides to stick the foliage to the trees. Okay, and this is a latex-based glue, but it's a stay adhesive-based glue, which means once it's dried, it's still tacky. Now, what that means is I can paint some on here, okay, let it go dry so it goes clear, and then it's a bit like sticky tape. I can just put my planks onto it with a little bit of PVA and they will sit perfectly. And as I go on to the next plank, there's no chance of me knocking them or knocking the one that's underneath. It's a nightmare. You can have a whole cascade effect. And if you catch a plank with a sleeve or something like that, you can take your roof off. There's all sorts of other ways of pinning them as you go with little drops of super glue. But this is good. Now, the one thing I don't know, yeah, which I'm a little bit concerned about, and this is one of those things that I've got a vague memory, but the old cloudy is struggling to actually think how it will. Is obviously this is fibrous, so if I place this down and I lift it up to reposition it, will that take some of the fibers? Will that stick to the stay adhesive? Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't actually know, but I'm going to find out. Right, cracking on time. Stop faffing about, those. Come on, have some fun. Right, Hobby Tack. Now, the trick with Hobby Tack is you have to apply, I mean, when it comes out like one of those copy decks, sort of what you call blobbers, which I kind of find is sort of counterintuitive, because the trick with this Hobby Tack stuff is to smear it on thin. If you put it down heavy with blobs, it doesn't properly dry, okay? What you need to do is get a thin coating, then it dries in, like, it can dry in about an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a blob on with this, yeah, just like that, a blob on there with this, yeah, look at all that mess. And then with this, I'm going to smooth it all out. Yeah, because it literally is the peaks. You only need a little of this. So I'm going to smooth this on here. Now, because I smoothed that out, that's going to dry really quickly. Yeah. And the other good thing about this is once it's dry, it'll stay tacky for years. Yeah, so once I've got this sort of smeared on, yeah, I can just leave this piece, cut my shingles and come back to it. Really is good for this sort of stuff, for temporary fixing and working with conchology, but tiles as well. You know, especially in areas where they're going to fall off and you want an instant tack. Remember, this is a latex glue. So after it's gone on, if I come in with a watered down PVA wash to soak into the balsa and bond it all together, it won't dissolve the latex glue. It won't have any effect. That'll still hold it perfectly still. Whereas if I did that and it was PVA underneath, the wash would reactivate the PVA underneath. Yeah, so bad juju. Real bad juju. Right, I'm going to put a blob on there. Yeah, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of lines on there. Yeah, because I don't want to cover it all. There's no need. Just 2 little lines and then we can put PVA to hold down. I'll show you as we go. Right, let me get this done. I'll be back after the flash and we'll be cutting some planking. We're doing planking, not shingles. We're not doing shingles. Too long. No, we're not. Do it on the blacksmiths. Right, let's crack on. Right, the glue's dried. And if I show you here, yeah, you can see. See shiny? And stay tack. I don't want to do it too much because if you press it too much, it does lose its tackiness. Yeah, but that's enough. Yeah, for us to stick our boards on. Now, I've already started on this piece. I wanted to have a go before I did it in front of the camera. Yeah. Been a while. Just refresh the techniques. But at least I'm showing you. At least I'm being honest about it. Right. I can't really hide it. It's on the building. So, here we go. The hobby tack I put on there. Yeah, that's put those and they went straight on really easy. And I'm about to do this little roof here. Just to show you. Now what I've done is I've just got a little bit of balsa. I've gone over it with a wire brush to give it some texture. I've then used my balsa splitter, yeah, to just cut it so that it's a couple of mil longer than those lines there. Yeah, and I'm going to use those as my guides. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come along. Now, but I might even go a bit higher on that one. Go there. Around that way. There. Over here. Oh. And what do we think? Yeah, quite happy with that. I'll do. Just extend that one down a little. Extend that one down a little. That's the lucky thing about hobby tack. You can reposition it. You just got to lift it off. It won't slide like with PVA. There you go. It was as simple as that. I really hope that came off on the video. Yeah. But it really is just, you know, get your bits and stick them to it. Yeah. Now, the next thing I need to do is just need to do the rest of this. And then on this roof, you see where, you know, I've got my strips. I'm just going to put some PVA there at the same time. These will hold them temporarily. I mean, they'll hold them permanently, but yeah, might as well reinforce the joint. Yeah, I'm just going to put some PVA there. That'll dry while these hold and fix them in place. And once again, I'm going to cut my slats in line with these already gradients. I don't know why that one's a couple of mil thicker. That's going to bother me. Probably because that one's maybe a few mil shorter. Who knows? We'll figure it. Now, there's one other thing that I'll need to do, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Yeah, in the meantime, time for me to put my slats on. See you shortly. And as if by magic, a converted church appeared. There we go, guys. What do you reckon? Yeah, as you can see, all the tiles are on, and I've just taken the extra little step of just adding some little fascia boards. Yeah, just to cover the ends. And I've done them on the actual roofs as well. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you. Adding the fascia boards was a hell of a lot more fiddlier than adding these. These went on a doddle, as you saw in the vid. Yeah, nice little addition there. Get back into the swing of things. Yeah, now as you can see, I've left the interior blank. I can add little things in the future to that. But if I bring it up, we've got the lovely balsa detailing around. Yeah, detailed, put a little log at the door, add a little bit of ground there. And then, you know, the entrance is where I've invested a lot of time. That looks a lot better, yeah, than the original kit. Nothing wrong with the original kit. This video is just about enhancing them. So obviously it's going to look a lot better. I am not dissing Sarissa. I like Sarissa. They make good stuff. Yeah. But I like to make it better. It's my thing. You can see it and you can tell I'm in a playful mood. It's gone well. We're 2 for 2. 2 Tuesday terrain videos. And I've already got the third lined up for next Tuesday. So make sure you come back for that one. But in the meantime, yeah, I've added the fascias on there. I've added the fascias on there. And if I bring you the roof up, yeah, you can sort of see, yeah, loads better. Really simple to do. Yeah, except for the loads of little fascia boards. It's a bloody nightmare. But if we do that, come in. Now, it isn't completely dry, so I'm being a little bit gentle because I don't want to rip it off a board, but I want to get this filmed. There you go. Perfect addition to my Water Cowboy come Dead Man's Hand table. Now, following on from this, I'm going to be doing some simple barn shacks. Yeah, the Sarissa kits again, but this time I'm going to be distressing them and adding stonework. Yeah, foam and clay and stuff like that. Well, I would play with this. This is a really good way of me also not just sharing techniques, but getting my hand back in with the actual technical skills, you know, relearning the neuromuscular control and that sort of stuff. So up here, just have to translate it to here and here. We're getting there, slowly. Now, obviously, I've got a smile on my face. I'm building terrain. There's more terrain coming. If you've enjoyed the video, the very best thing you can do for me is jump in the comments and just let me know you'd like to see me back and you're enjoying the video. That helps me massively from a mental health point of view. If you want to help me pay the studio rent, get kit for that sort of stuff, the links are in the bio and it is all appreciated, genuinely. But the main thing is you come back and watch. I do this for you. If there's no you, there's no this. So, I'll see you in the comments, yeah? All the best, yeah? Ta-da!